Hello everyone, my name is Jeff and I'm a content producer, and today I'm talking with Alex Perdomo, who is the Communications and Technology teacher at G. Holmes Braddock Senior High School. And today we're going to talk about his esports club, namely what he's teaching, his students' experiences so far, and how esports and video games are impacting education. So to begin with, can you tell me about your teaching role at G. Holmes Braddock Senior High School?
Absolutely. My name, I've been teaching for 22 years, and I am the communications technology teacher at Braddock Senior High School. And what that entails is I teach, not only, Adobe Photoshop, Adobe InDesign, Adobe Illustrator. I do also teach old school stuff like photography. I do teach laser cutting. I do teach screen printing and vinyl cutting with the cutting machine and
Wow.
large format print. So yeah, I teach a lot in this. And then this year, I'm even doing a an engineering class, and I'm doing AutoCAD. So I'm pretty much I run the gamut.
So you do actual photo exposures and stuff
Yes,
dark
well,
rooms. There we go.
yeah, dark room stuff. Yeah, I do stuff in the dark room. I give the students a camera, and they look at it like it's from the 1800s. And I'm like, you put film in it, and then you take the picture, and then they're always like, but why it doesn't come out in the
I want to
picture?
see it right now.
I want to see it right now. I'm like, that's not how it works. And you've got 36 exposures, and they always look at me like, what? But again, it's weird because then when you take the picture and you go ahead and, after teaching them a year of Photoshop, and they go and they put it in the magic, deck tall solution, and that print suddenly appears out of a piece of paper, they're just completely blown away. They're like, oh my God, that can't be. So I get a great kick out of teaching the old stuff as well.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah, but now basically Photoshop, InDesign, Illustrator, that's basically my life right now.
I know from personal experience, when I went to film school, they had us shoot on 8mm cameras from about
Woo,
1909, and
nice.
learning how to expose on film and put it in a camera and properly run it was a really interesting thing. And then we also had to actually cut it with razor blades and everything and splice it
Hmm.
together. So really good learning experiences that teach you a lot about the process as it is now because you're going back to the roots of it. So that's pretty awesome.
No, no, yeah. I always save that for the end because they get so much tech up front. It's good to know this is how it used to be done, and then we go backwards.
Yeah, it definitely makes you appreciate it because I certainly appreciate digital video editing.
Oh my God. And then the ironic thing is I have to wear like latex gloves to my elbows because I'm allergic to the chemical. So if I'm not careful, my fingers will swell up and I can't make a fist for about a week after it. Yeah. So, but I don't know. I enjoy it. I don't understand. I'm a masochist. I don't know.
Well, that sounds fun, but so we got to move on a little bit. So, how did you
Yeah.
get involved in video games and esports?
Okay. Video games and esports. Now, are you talking video games in school or just video games in general?
How about we'll start with in general, and then we can move on to school.
Okay, I'm 51 years old, and I got into video games with the Atari 2600.
Okay.
And I was in fourth grade, and my dad bought me the Atari, and it was Pong and Tank and all these cool, not even 8-bit, they were like a bit, 1-bit games on a cartridge that,
Oh yeah.
to blow and put it in. It's horrible, horrible. I mean, when you see how much games have progressed
Oh yeah.
from that in the last 40 years, it's night and day. It's just incredible.
Hmm.
So I've done, I did that. I did, and then I got in, Nintendo, and then I got into the Sega, and then I got into 3D shooter games once the PCs came out and
Hmm.
the PlayStation, and I was heavily into the Metal Gear Solid
Okay.
games, and and again, I don't know if you can see,
We can see.
I've got
Yeah.
the old school Galaga
Is that like
because
a mini arcade cabinet that you
yeah,
got?
it's a little, yeah, they have it, it's I modded it slightly, but it's old school. It's 8-bit and incredibly difficult
Yeah.
because there is no save, there is no pause. It's just you have 3 lives, in or out. That's it. So, and then as I started, seeing, excuse me, esports was becoming a thing. As a matter of fact, not this year, but the previous year, my principal reached out to me, and he's like, "How do you think about doing an esports club?" And I'm like, I don't think we're there yet.
Okay.
I mean, the school's there yet. And then by an incredible coincidence, the following year, I was chosen to be in the in one of the core the triad. What is it? The uh, the beta group
Mm-hmm.
for esports in Dade County. And we went inside. I got in, and I knew this is going to be the future of my teaching, because I know for a fact that everything I do, is going to be somehow related to. From now until I retire, I know that esports is going to have a huge effect on my teaching.
Okay. Good to know. As an esports fan, I'm happy about that.
Yes, yes. And again, I'm a huge Star Wars nerd, as you can obviously tell, and I did a lot of the online with Jedi Academy and all these other great Star Wars games. I started getting into that. So yes, I knew that as soon as esports was introduced and it was done in a competitive and in the proper way, I was all in. I was
Awesome.
all in.
Well, we're gonna come back to that point later, but for now, I want to
Okay.
talk to you, ask you, like, what does scholastic esports mean to you?
Okay, scholastic esports to me means many things. Uh, you've got the players, and people think, oh my God, you're just going to be playing Nintendo. I see all the, I hear all the Spanish grandmothers. I live in Miami, very bilingual. At the Nintendo, you play the Nintendo. It's not just the Nintendo. And again, it's organizing, it's running the team, it's coaching, obviously, and we do have a coach, Coach Steve, and he's a semi-professional Smash player, and he took a lot of them under his wing, and really made them, but also organizing, shoutcasting, just designing the logos,
Mm-hmm.
designing the stuff, and I know that eventually, excuse me, just sit here a little better. I know it's going to involve, my curriculum will be directly tied in. I want to teach programming, and I do want to teach 3D modeling, because I know that eventually they're going to go from the 2D to the 3D world, and I want to be there when I want to transition when that happens.
Okay, very awesome. And very aspirational right there with the 3D modeling. I like it.
Correct.
Never a fan myself, but I like it.
Yes, no, it is unbelievably tedious. Some people, I admire them. They, even CAD. I'm very good at CAD. But CAD has that 3D aspect and it's organic, but even still, that's tricky. Not organic, linear, but the organic stuff is very, that's an art all to itself.
What is your role? What do you do as the general manager of esports at Braddock?
Okay, believe it or not, I realize I have to surround myself with good students that know what they're doing, because and listen, as much as I try to, there's things that are out of my realm.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned about Discord. I'm learning about Twitch, and all these other things, and my students are, I have to say, they're better at it than I am. No,
It's a
I'm
common
trying to
theme I'm
be
hearing.
okay. They're better at it than I am. So you know what? Why am I gonna try to micromanage everything? Let them run, things. I have two, Kenny and Michael. They're great shoutcasters, and they did a fantastic job when we did our first, Smash tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Why not let them just? I let them go with it. I have my president, Emily. Emily does all the organizing. She organizes the meetings. So as a GM, what I should do, and this is just me, I should step back and let them do all the heavy lifting, because this is what we're learning here,
Mm-hmm.
and organizing the events and figuring out how the matches are going to go, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It should be like that. And then if there's an issue, I oversee it, and then I go ahead and make the final decision.
Yeah, awesome. No, that's definitely what I'm hearing from a lot of the other teachers in the Florida district is that the students are really taking control of their programs and running almost everything, and the teachers are there as like backup, like making sure things go smoothly and putting out those fires.
Correct, correct. And if there's a, like I had an issue with another, two students had an issue. I had to mediate it. But again, I literally just want to step back and just let it run itself. And if you get the, and I had to, excuse me, I had to fire actually one or two students from my team because they weren't, and I'm like, listen, sorry, I gotta cut you loose
Huh.
because you're not lifting up your end of it. Listen, that's how, and you
Mm-hmm.
gotta be a little heartless sometimes, and and I know that there's feelings, but I gotta make sure that the team succeeds. And so far, when the student was like, oh, they understood, and we were able to continue.
Awesome.
Listen, this is serious. This
Yeah.
is, this is serious, and I see that this is the future of sports. And just like a football player, or a coach would have to cut a football player because he's not, for whatever reason,
Mm-hmm.
he's not holding up his end of the deal. I have to do the same thing. It's just a way of life.
All right. And then so you mentioned that you have like your president who helps organize everything. What are some of
Mhm.
the other roles that your students are doing in this club?
Okay, so I have the president. I got a vice president who she also does all the social media. They organize the events. We have students that are they do the art, the fan art. I got fan art.
Mm-hmm.
I've got the league component. I got a league team and I got a smash team. And each of them has a leader, and then smashed. And I have Coach Steve, who's in charge of the smash. And they I had math tryouts, and their roles, I give them very assigned roles.
Awesome. And then what do you think some of their biggest takeaways are from this program, your students? Their like hard and soft skills.
Okay, okay. Soft skills, dealing with people. You're gonna have to deal with teams. You have to deal with people. I've noticed there is a distinct there's a distinct difference between the league players and the smash players.
Oh?
Yeah, I've noticed that most of the league players are more introverted and they put it out on the game,
Mm-hmm.
where the smash players are like, ah, and they're, come on, ah! They're more louder, they're more boisterous. I've noticed that. Yeah, when you look at a league match, I mean, it is literally like
Yeah.
click, 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 and they're just into it.
They're in the zone.
And they're in the zone. They're in the zone. Where but a smash. I mean, my first smash tournament, people were. It was 100 kids screaming at the top of, ah, 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 and you're like, oh my gosh, that's just
Mm-hmm.
insane. So they're taking away what they take away, teamwork. They take friendship. They take, and I know that a lot of these people are graduating now, in June they're going to be going to, and they have friendships that they may last for 25, 30 years. Okay, so another takeaway that they get from this is also a hard one, is not only do they friends and all this, but they also get great skills at playing a game like League,
Mm-hmm.
because NASEF provides the coaching and the online coaching, and these guys checked in once a week, and they learned, and they got a lot better at playing their games than they would have without NASEF, and that's a great takeaway for it. The other, and aside from my class and how I'm starting to teach, and I'm starting to teach more as esports video game centric, in that aspect.
I want to move on to a different subject. So you've been a teacher for 22 years. You've
22
seen
years.
quite a lot of things, I imagine, coming and going, especially in the graphics department, as you've
Correct.
illustrated between, actual exposure of photos to all the digital photos now. What are
Hmm.
some of the biggest changes you've seen over your teaching tenure, both in general and in regards to graphics?
Gosh. Well, some of the biggest changes I've seen, well, again, social media. in the past 10 years has just revolutionized the way we do everything. And literally it's the explosion of the internet that really has made, and I hate to sound like it's 1991 here, but the internet, just in general, everything is geared toward that, and the phone, and how
Hmm.
everything is not getting bigger, it's getting smaller.
Okay.
And I can communicate with my students in a way that, with Remind, or on Discord, or on any of this type of meet of platforms that I never could have even dreamed of 10 years ago.
Okay.
uh you know um gosh with that, and just the incredible amount of, like, that, you see, it's funny. Graphics has evolved, but it really hasn't. It really, it's instead of it being more paper based, now it's all more
Digital.
online,
Yeah.
digital based, and that's just been tremendous. And it shows in the games, and all this. Not that we play paper games, but the quality, and the textures, and how much more in depth it is.
Now, have there been any like specific teaching trends you've seen change over the years?
Well, well, I see. I like to be old school, and I know that a lot of teachers love the Edmodo, or they love doing, now there's Microsoft Teams is the big flavor of the month.
Hmm.
But to me, there's still nothing like standing in front of a room full of students, okay, and getting my computer, and I have very specific technical requirements for my class, and one of them is that it's either a projector,
Hmm.
or a program that I call, that's called School View, that allows me to control their screens.
Okay.
And that, well, in and of itself, and I know I might be going on a tangent here, but it still allows me to interact with the student, and I can take over my screen and put it on all 36 computers, and I can then put, I can teach them old school. I demonstrate,
Hmm.
I show, they see, they do. If they get stuck, I either help, or one of my aides can help,
Hmm.
and we just do it that way. So that's been a huge boom, and it's happened in about the past, I'd say, 10 years. That's the trend. And then now with Teams, and with all this quarantine, I can see that students, I can do Zoom,
Hmm.
I can go ahead, and they can do the assignment, and upload it, and I'm starting to, and I guess I like doing things a certain way, and I'm starting to become a little bit more flexible, and because I have to just step back, and I'm learning that from my management of the team. It's like, you know what, let them do it, and then it'll come back. They'll give it to me somehow, and it's been working great. So no worries there.
Awesome. So, how does esports coming into this compare to other changes you've seen? And because, like you said, social media was a gigantic change, and I feel like, for me personally, like esports is also going to be a very large change.
Correct, correct. I listen. The esports in the next, I think in the next 10 years, I was reading, might be the second biggest sport in the world. I mean, those are mind-boggling numbers. When you think about it, bigger than basketball, bigger than baseball. I mean, it won't be bigger than soccer, but I mean, it's number two in just a matter of
Take on the
years.
NFL,
Okay. It's going to be bigger than the NFL,
which
I
is
think.
amazing because the NFL is the biggest sport in the U.S.
Yes. Well, I'm talking worldwide.
Yeah.
I'm not even talking.
Yeah.
So I
Football is, yeah,
see.
definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Absolutely. So I could see this happening, and I'm like, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, that's the future. This is where, if I was skiing, I would have to start looking at, it's skiing. When you're skiing, you got to look at where you're going to go,
Hmm.
not where you went. So, and it's going to go that way. And I know that's going to be huge. That's already changing. Listen, the fact that the athletic director of our school starts sending me emails, about esports, and including in the Greater Miami Athletic Conference. There's talk about doing that already. That's huge. That's
Yeah.
huge. And that way we're going to be taken equally as seriously as football or baseball or basketball. That's incredible.
Awesome.
So, yeah,
What do you think makes it so special? Like, what is the attraction for people? Because it's everywhere, and everyone,
it
like, I know my generation, the generation below me, loves it.
okay. No, absolutely. And what it is it's emotion. You look at and again, you look at these games and you see people are just they invest in the players and they invest in the characters and they're emotionally invested. And like I said earlier, I mean, that you don't see that in a chess game. I'm sure,
No.
and some people are like, well, it's not a, well, you know what? It is. It's a sport. You can say whatever you want. It's a sport, and it's gonna be a huge sport. And I know, and I just want to be on the cusp. I just want to be on the forefront of it.
Awesome. Well, earlier you mentioned that you think this is going to be the future of your program. How do you
Correct.
how do you envision this changing your program from what it is right now?
I could see myself well instead of going from more of a design it's giving my program a theme
Okay.
that's something that most other I, I, it's given me something that I didn't have before.
Okay.
And what I'm saying is, instead of teaching a project, hey, design a flyer for what, oh, whatever. Now I can design pretty much any program, any part of the program can be esports. Design a logo, for your team, design a logo for an event, and
Mhm.
it's all become, design a character, make a simple game, using program, that type of stuff, really is talking to this generation of students that I have now. Because it's all of games like Fortnite or Overwatch, or these are characters that you see them on shirts, and if you invent the next big character, big game,
Mhm.
this is $1 billion like industry you're talking about, an
Yeah.
app here. I mean, even a I know I'm dating myself a little bit here, but even an app like Angry Birds at its peak was making
Oh,
a
make so
million a
much money.
million dollars a month just in iOS sales, not even counting Android. $1 million a month. That's a lot of downloads. A plus. If you and plus the merchandising and the
And they
characters
made a movie out of it.
and they made movies out of it. So this is like where the future is headed. You're and they're tying in all these characters to it. I mean, now they're making these games get made into movies.
Mhm.
You know, Assassin's Creed was a movie. And whoever, yeah, this is. It's the future. I mean, people can say whatever they want. This is the future.
Well, I like
And
hearing that. I
no,
definitely
no,
like hearing
listen. And
that.
if I look, and I see and I was telling a colleague and I were talking about it, and like I feel like I'm standing at the beach and I see this gigantic wave coming
Mhm.
at me, and either I get on that wave and I ride it, or I'm just gonna be, you know, I'm gonna be forgotten, and my class is gonna become yesterday's news, and I hate to sound like you know ratings or enrollment, but I got to see where the ball is going,
Mhm.
and I got to go toward that direction.
Awesome. Now, what about we've already seen some things like you did a tournament with Miss Alfaro of Southwest Senior High School.
Correct.
Uh, what other places would you say is transforming at the district level?
Listen, at the district level right now, here's here's what it is. Okay. Um, and this is what, and maybe not at the district, maybe at my school level, but I'm noticing that some kids that normally wouldn't be it wouldn't they'd be overlooked,
Mhm.
you know or they oh, he just plays game. But now I start seeing that these kids, we're bringing, and it's not just, oh, it's, they don't feel quite so alone.
Okay.
So at the district level, I'm starting to see, and I mean, large turnouts of students that are heavily involved in this. When we started doing esports at school, I really didn't know how to run a team or didn't know how to run anything. So what I did is during club day, I had two girls, and I had a sign, little sign that said, esports, and a girl cut it out of, construction paper, and she put it up. Okay, I had 200 students sign up, 300 students sign up that one day. That one day.
Wow.
I couldn't believe the number. Our school's got almost 3,000 students, but I couldn't believe. And then and then on Remind, I don't know if you know what Remind is. It's a texting service. Okay, Remind is a texting service for teachers. So I had them, do their, put in their name and their phone number so we can, send them a remind. And Remind has a hard limit on 100, and I had to do 3 different ones, and I had the meeting, and I thought, okay, and 150 students showed up to the meeting, and I had to hold it at the auditorium because I couldn't hold it in the classroom. At the last minute, I'm like, no, I had to have a janitor open the auditorium, and I had to sit there and get a projector, and it was crazy. It was just crazy. So, and I think our superintendent very wisely saw this as well, and and he's basically the reason why I'm standing in front of you right now, is because he did the deal with NASEF, and I got to give him credit for his vision. So yes, I'm seeing it from the classroom to the student, all the way to the top of the superintendent, and people are noticing. And people are noticing this. This is becoming a thing. This is for real. This is not going away. It's not a fad. This is and I hate, and I know I'm repeating myself and saying the future, but this is where it's going. And people need to just get over themselves and start realizing this is where it's going to go.
So you think eventually we're going to start seeing like tournaments like we have with the Big Ten schools, like we do with basketball and football, where you've got clubs from all over the U.S. competing against each other?
Absolutely, absolutely, and especially as these games get more and more, as they get more and more involved, and they get more and more, you get more and more into it, and they get more and more. Just the characters become more compelling. That's the word I was looking for. These people. This is not. 5 people sitting around the Gallagher machine, seeing, looking over your shoulder. You can have an audience of 400,000 people. 21 million people were streaming the League of Legends tournament. I mean, what? That's what? Those are crazy numbers.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, dude, and it's gonna go even further, and eventually sponsors are going to realize, and that's going to start coming into the schools, and this overlooked section of the school that really didn't get much attention paid for is going to get a lot of attention paid to in the next couple of years. I guarantee it.
Cool. Do you think that it's possible we might see international competitions between high schools?
Yeah. Listen, when I teach the engineering, there's a club that's called 1080, and not this year, the last year, we went to Texas, at Texas A&M University, and we had a tournament, the world, and it's basically remote control cars.
Okay.
And you have to modify them, and you make it lighter, and it's again super compelling, super people are into it. We had a delegation from China, so and not just talking like one. No, we're talking 10, 11 schools from China.
Oh, wow.
Came to participate in this. So yes, world international, no doubt. I mean, if they're doing it for 1080, of course it's not even an issue. Yeah, absolutely. And not just China, Japan, South Korea. I could see it Europe. I could see it from all. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. This is going to get bigger and bigger.
That's exciting to hear. I love it. And then you said that you're working towards getting the state of Florida to recognize esports.
Correct.
What are some of your hurdles you think you're going to be encountering, and how are you going to address them?
Well, it's not really hurdles. It's just stuff like we're gonna have to come up with a curriculum
Hmm.
that not just a graphics teacher or an engineering teacher or but it's got to be where it's big, it's wide enough where let's say teachers can from different fields can teach and feel comfortable teaching a component of it. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. So it'd be like a lot of
Um,
recruiting you feel the need
Correct,
to do.
correct. So I can have my like I said, engineering. Not even a programming teacher can have it be more heavily program based, or like me, it'd probably be more graphic based, and
Hmm.
so it could help and be to your strengths, to a teacher's strengths.
Awesome. All right. Cool. And then kind of moving on from the transformation of the districts and stuff, what advice
Okay.
would you give to students who are looking to get a program like yours at their school?
Squeaky wheel gets the grease. Listen, a lot when they found out that we were doing, esports, a lot of schools have reached out to me, asking how, where, how do we do this, And now again, the pilot program, that's the word I was looking for. The pilot program was just 10. It's just 10 this year.
Hmm.
I believe next year it's going to be 50 schools. I don't know exactly how that's going to break down. If it's going to be middle and high schools, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's not my bag. But I do know that especially, and I hate not hate to say this, but this quarantine is really making a compelling case
It's
for
accelerating it.
esports. Yeah, it's accelerating it. You know, we were, Miss Alfaro and I, in the age of Corona, we were the only sports being played in Miami-Dade County.
I
I
mean,
mean,
that's
that's
all around the
that's
U.S. is the only sports
correct.
being played.
The only sports being played in Dade County. So I thought that was just a hoot that that was happening. I mean, I'm like, wow. I mean, the time. I mean, the timing couldn't have been better, even though the circumstances were horrible.
Yeah.
But the timing was just wow. This is just at the right place at the right time, and I think it's going to be even bigger next year.
Awesome. Well, take notes, students. Squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Squeaky wheel. Listen, no, you can. I'm sure that if you speak to down the supervisors downtown, or I'm sure that that can happen.
Awesome. And so, like, the last thing I want to ask you is, what's been the most rewarding part of this experience for you?
Just being, just okay. Honestly, there's two things. Number one, winning. I mean, winning is
Winning's always great.
winning's great. I never knew winning was so good and so much fun. Yeah, when I when I had my Smash team win and won first, second, and and fourth place, and the first tournament, and we were just competing against ourselves. I mean, that was just like incredible. I'm like, you know what it is? It's like I knew we were, I knew we were good, but I didn't know we were that good. That and and so that's been incredibly rewarding. And but also making this happen, just seeing that there's a need, and being able to fill that need for students that want to do this. Eh, that I feel like I've had. I mean, so many students just walking. Hey, are you the esports teacher? Are you the? Is there? Can I be part of the club? And we had very specific. Like we had so many students, we were able to be choosy. And it's like, well, you got to have more than 100 hours in league, and you got to be able to prove it. Oh, I've got 3,000 hours. What?
That was an easy
What?
benchmark to hit.
What? You know, You got to be able to play, Smash, oh my God, I can't believe, and and Coach Steve really, really hammered them and really started, training them. And you know what? That's great. And Coach Steve, I got to commend him. He did an incredible job with these guys. So which again makes the school look good, and it just pushes the NASEF's message even further. So I think we all win in this situation.
Awesome. Great to hear. And that is all I have for you today. So I want to thank you very much for taking the time to talk with me.
No, no problem.
It's been great to talk to you. It's been very educational and a very interesting conversation for me as well. So I hope you
Okay,
enjoyed
so
it.
I hope I gave you what I hope I
Yeah,
was able.
no, it's
Okay,
great.
all right.
For everyone else out there, thank you very much for tuning in. And we've got a few more interviews with teachers from Florida about their esports programs coming up. Until then, have a good one, everyone.
Peace out, everybody.